Shalom everybody. It's late afternoon here in Yavne'el, and I wanted to share with you what the Prime Minister told us last night on television. You may not have heard, you probably haven't heard. I'm out for my walk, just getting a little break from being locked up in the house all day. Actually, you'll notice we live in a little bit of a rural place here in Yavne'el. Here's a beautiful hill and field next door. A little bit busy today. I don't know where everybody's going. They're all supposed to be. Nice horse. They're all supposed to be inside. Anyways, so basically the whole country is in quarantine, staying at home. Most businesses are shut except for the supermarkets, Makolets. Makolet is a corner grocery store. This is one of the big synagogues right across the street from us. Closed. Sad. People are praying at home rather than in a minyan in the community. So Prime Minister Netanyahu was interviewed on television last night, and he give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Can you hear me? Because I'm using a headset. I don't usually use it. Hopefully the sound will be a little bit better. Anybody there? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Hi. Give me a comment. Type a comment if you can hear me. Anybody? I'll assume you can hear me. Otherwise, you're all going to drop off very quickly. So, Prime Minister was interviewed last night, and he said some very serious things. He said, our numbers are... Oh, there we go. Thanks. Thumbs up. Anybody else thumbs up? You can hear me? There we go. Hi, Sally. Okay, great. Thanks. So, Prime Minister Netanyahu. Okay, all the way to Oklahoma. Perfect. I'll show you. This is me. It's actually me talking. Hi. I hope everybody else is hanging in there and it's not too boring. If you're in quarantine, especially if you're like me, you're at a certain age, taking certain medications, you gotta be staying at home. So I am, except for my little walk that I take here every day. So Prime Minister Netanyahu said there's two serious things going on. One is containing the contagion, and two is the economy. Here is, this is the original Founder Street, where the original settlers lived here, settled here in these homes starting in 1901. Actually, the original homes are on the street there. And they would have their small farms here, and then off on that far hill, they would have 50 or 60 dunam, 12 to 15 acres that they would farm during the day, and then at night they would come home because for protection they'd live clustered together. So they just have their garden farm in the back of their homes. A lot of these farms, actually this big building here in that synagogue used to be one property that was one big farm. Now it's been developed. And as you go down that street, side by side, there were little 3 acre farms, so they could have their cow for milk and some chickens, maybe some goats, and a vegetable garden. Right, sorry, getting back to Prime Minister Netanyahu, sorry it's taking so long. So there's two things, and you have to make this balance, and I've been thinking about that a lot, because if the economy shuts down, that could be a potentially life and death situation eventually as well. So you're balancing two life and death situations. People who are sick, or could get infected and could die from the contagion from the virus. And then if the economy collapses, you also have a life-threatening situation. So what we are doing here, which other countries can't do or won't do, and partially because we are such a small country, and partially because everybody goes through the army, we're much more open to allow our privacy to be invaded than you might want to be in America. There's a beautiful picture of the Yavne'el Valley. Golan Heights is that hill in the distance. And the darker hill on the right there, that's Jordan. So he's activated all of the digital technology, he likes to call it. Basically, they're tracking my cell phone right now. Everybody in the country is being tracked. So I guess they know I'm out for a walk. But more importantly, what they're going to be able to do, which they're doing, is identify everyone who's infected, whether they know it or not. And what they will do is find a way to ensure that those people who are infected with the virus or carrying it and are contagious but aren't showing symptoms, they'll be able to identify all of those people and ensure that they are distanced from the whole population so it's impossible for them to infect anybody else. That's the first step. The second step, which nobody has talked about, the theory is that once there are many, many, many people who have had it and have recovered without even realizing it. If you know anybody who might have had a young, healthy person, might have had a fever for a day or two, a little bit of a cough, not too bad, worked through it, got better, don't even know they had the virus, or might even had even more milder symptoms than that. The theory is that once they contract it, then they build up antibodies, and hopefully that you can't get the virus again. Basically, it means you're immune. So he's saying, if we rapidly find a way of testing those people who've had it and have recovered and have the immunity, let's get them back to work as quickly as possible. So there's a two-pronged attack that he is planning on using. The issue is that they are connecting the tracking with the disease. It's when the leper. Okay, right, we'll talk about that a little bit. Mark is bringing up the issue of tsaras, a leper being separated out from... Huh? כן. לא, אני מטייל, אני מדבר עם האנשים שלי. כן, אתם מתפללים עדיין במניין? אוי ויי. תתרחק מהשני. 2 מטר. Okay, these guys are still having a quorum in their synagogue, Tunisians, but they're making sure that there's at least 2 meters apart, and they're only going to have 10 guys in there. This shul is from the Tunisian community. There's a fairly large Tunisian community here. But I'm in the category, I'm not taking any chances. At any rate, so it's a double track. So the Prime Minister's idea is as quickly as possible develop a test to see who's had it and recovered, has the antibodies, and get them back to work as quickly as possible so we can get the economy moving as quickly as possible and not have to have everyone shut down. So he seemed to be very serious about that, and he seemed to imply that's what they're working on. And instead of testing people just to see if they're infected and have it, they want to test as many people as possible who are healthy to see if they had it. If they had it, go to work. If they haven't had it, okay, still separate. So that's the plan. One thing that's holding back moving forward, we're a socialist country and everybody's been talking about helping out people. I know they have in America. They're talking about giving small businesses like ours special loans to get us through the hump, the slowdown. But the government can't do that unless there's a budget. And in order to have a budget, they have to have a government. So he made a very strong appeal to Benny Gantz last night on television. And the plan would be that for a year and a half, Netanyahu would be prime minister. The Speaker of the House would come from the Likud and the finance ministry, which is what you need in order to run the government. And the defense ministry, foreign minister, would go to Benny Gantz's party, and that the Likud and Benny Gantz's party would split all the ministries right down the middle. And then everything would switch after 18 months. It was a sincere offer. Hopefully he'll take it, because the welfare of the country is at stake. There are so many small businesses out of business right now, or shut down, people being laid off. That's because everybody has to be kept isolated. Even though you're seeing here a lot of people out, but each person's on their own. So that's what's going on in the country. Hopefully today, tomorrow, the next day, we'll have a government. If they don't do it, it's just going to be ego. It's my opinion. It's an excellent offer, an excellent deal, totally fair, and it's the main thing that we need in order to move things forward. One of the things that the virus is doing, and I think everybody can feel this, is it's very helpful in getting our egos in check, to understand that things aren't in our control, and it's not about us, and we're totally dependent upon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God, our creator and sustainer and supervisor, that he's in control and we're not in control. One of my teachers once said that what we're responsible for is we are responsible for our effort, the effort we put in. We're not responsible for results. Results aren't us. I used to give the example of, I had an eye surgeon once who was a student of mine, and he told me that he knew that he wasn't a healer. He said because he could do the exact same procedure on two almost identical patients, same state of health. One, everything would recover fully, no problem. The other one would have complications. He did the exact same thing. And he understood that his job was to take responsibility and do the most responsible thing that in general would yield the right results, but the results were not up to him. The results are up to the Almighty. So I think that's the humbling that's going on all around the world today, to let us realize that the results aren't in our hands. All that we could be responsible for is taking responsibility and doing our best. And I was thinking about that on Shabbat, when everything was shut down, and that, you know, people have this mistaken idea. A lot of Jewish people think that, you know, it's all about Shabbat, and we just got to get through the week to get to Shabbat, because our sages say Shabbat is me'ein olam haba. It's a glimpse of the world to come. And it's a beautiful thing. Anybody who's actually celebrated Shabbat, rested, ceased from all of the melacha, the activity, you can appreciate that. But the Ramchal, Reb Maimon Hashem, it's one of the books that I teach. That's one of the books I teach. He says, no, it's backwards. He says, in Torah, we go according to the majority. So if you want to understand what was the main point of creation, if we have 6 days of the work week, 6 days we're supposed to do the melacha, and 1 day we're supposed to cease doing the melacha, what's the main thing? The main thing are the 6 days of the work week. Shabbat, I'll tell you why we have Shabbat in a second. The 6 days, because what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to do melacha. So we just read about the building of the tabernacle in the desert. What does melacha mean? It doesn't mean work. The word melacha is used in building the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the desert. And the two portions of keeping Shabbat and not doing melacha on Shabbat, and building the Mishkan and doing the melacha to build the Mishkan, are side by side. To tell you that the things that we're ceasing and doing on Shabbat are activities that are related to, either similar in form or in function, of the activities they did to build the tabernacle in the desert. We say there's 39 main categories of activity. They had the showbreads, so all of the things related to growing wheat, digging a hole, putting a seed in the ground, watering it, harvesting it, threshing it, winnowing, sifting, all of those activities, baking, are all melacha, and those are the things we cease on doing. They had to dye the coverings for the Mishkan, in terms of the weaving and the dyeing of the cloth, etc. So those are the activities that we cease. It takes a lot of study to learn up what they are, but it's not work, it's not labor. I can pick up a heavy object, move the table around in my dining room. It's not a problem. But activities related to building the Mishkan. So now we just have to understand what was the whole point of the Mishkan. We say after the Mishkan was built, Asuli Mikdash, make a sanctuary for me, says the Almighty, V'shachanti betocham. Now there's Tiberia, one of the 4 holy cities, and in the distance behind it is Sfat, second of the 4 holy cities, in one view. Asuli Mikdash v'shachanti betocham. Make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell amongst you. So the activity of doing melacha is a physical action that we take in this world to bring God's spiritual presence into the world. That's what we're supposed to do. So we say in Judaism, during the weekday, we're here to be mekadesh, the chol, to sanctify the mundane. Chol means sand. It means something that's empty of water. Halal is space. So either God's presence is imminent, or God's presence is withdrawn, empty from the world. We're supposed to, through our actions, doing our melacha, our creative activity, we're supposed to be involved in the physical world and bring God's presence into the world. That's the main thing we're supposed to be doing. Now, if you do that 24/7, 365, who's in control of God? You will start getting the illusion that man determines God's presence in the world. Man and man alone. That's a bad idea. So what does the Almighty say? He says, okay, listen, the main thing you got to do is you got to bring godliness into the world through your actions. Actions of charity, kindness, helping people. It's time bringing people like me a meal because I can't go shopping. I fit in the category. Of over a certain age taking certain medications. So do a chesed, do a kindness for somebody. Bring godliness into the world through your actions. When you send out a fax, we don't send faxes. Send an email, or the secretary sends the wrong email. If you're a boss, how are you going to respond? Are you going to act in a godly way when the mistake is made or not? I used to say, when I was a rabbi in a synagogue, Easy to be spiritual when you're talking about God in front of people in a sanctuary, in a synagogue. Try being spiritual in the dog-eat-dog world of the business world. That's where the real righteous people are. That's what it's all about. To fix the world. So the Almighty says, one day a week, you're going to cease doing your malacha. Because I want you to remember that even though your job in the world is to bring God into it, that you are not in control of God. God is in control of the universe. So that we don't have that mistaken idea. So we cease. So I was thinking about that. And this past Shabbat, when the whole country shut down, that humbling happened to the entire nation of Israel, whether they were observing Shabbat or not. They understood that everybody understood that we are not in control of our destiny. We can have an unseen enemy that can bring everything to a halt. God can cause that to happen. We live in such a highly technical world that we control so much. We live in homes that kings 150, 200 years ago would have thought they were castles with hot and cold running water, flush toilets, heaters, air conditioners. We control everything. It's easy to lull ourselves into thinking that we got it. Everything's under control. But this past Shabbat, all the Jewish people in Israel learned the lesson, whether they're observing Shabbat or not, that their destiny is not in their hands, not in their own hands. And our leaders are confused. They're not sure how it's all going to end. Nobody is sure. One thing we can do is we can trust that the Almighty created the world for us to have a relationship with Him, to get close to Him, to choose to have that relationship. The more it's our choice, the more merit and special it is to us. But ultimately, it'll happen, either by us choosing it or by the options of ignoring God being taken away from us. And as time goes on, it becomes harder and harder to ignore the fact that God has control of the world. He's our Father in heaven, our King, and everything will go according to His plan. And since He doesn't need anything, He gave us this world and us to be able to live in it for our benefit, not for His benefit, that everything that He does is for the good. And this too will pass, and this too will be for the good and bring us one step closer to the final redemption. This is our house, coming up to right here on the street corner. Actually, our Zimmer business, we have vacation rentals in it. It's a large place. So that's all shut down. So we're depending upon the olive oil. We love all you guys. And we're glad to be your connection here. And thank you everybody who ordered this past week. It was really special and heartwarming. There's some little kids up the street. They got to stay at their house. Their mommy won't let them go out. We thank you so much, everybody who helped out. And if you can encourage people to buy some olive oil this week, that would be unbelievable. I really appreciate it. We want to send blessings to you from Israel, especially from this part of the Galilee. The Kinneret, it rained all Shabbat, and the Kinneret is now just about 12 inches away before they have to open up the dam. So that's it for now. Shalom, shalom, and I hope to be sending out another newsletter update actually tomorrow. I'm going to be doing more updates, maybe twice a week instead of once a week, to let you know what's going on in the country. All right, shalom everybody. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.